Hi, welcome to the York Team Real Estate YouTube channel. Today, I am excited to start a new series focused on new construction and what you need to know as a home buyer when considering new construction. The thing to know about me is I'm pretty uniquely qualified to speak on this topic. I started in real estate in new construction back in 2006. So I have been a site agent. So the person that you go to, that you meet when you come into the sales office, the model home. I have managed sales teams for national builders, an executive for a national builder. I was the vice president of sales and marketing for Pacific Ridge Homes, a division of D.R. Horton. In this series, I'm going to tell you the things you need to know and really talk a lot about the benefits of new construction, but also the landmines and the pitfalls that you may not be aware of and probably are not aware of. Most importantly, and we'll get to it at the end, is how you could end up owing a commission and not even knowing it. Money that would come out of your pocket. So that'll be at the end. We'll go deep into that. But the main thing I want you to know is enjoy the home shopping process. Hire a realtor that you trust and like. Know that they are your navigator. They are your trusted advisor. They're the ones that are going to help you achieve your goal with the least amount of stress, really make the process as enjoyable as possible. You also need a good lending partner. Shopping for homes you can't afford or will end up regretting. So having those trusted partners are vital to you in the process and will make the home buying process a pleasurable one, not a dangerous minefield, if you will. So in this series, I really want to know what you want to know. Obviously, you don't know what you don't know, but there are some questions you probably have, and I would love to answer those questions. So please put them in the comments. Also, all the links will also be in the comment section, so you can find them there. And I might even throw a QR code in here and there to help you get where we're trying to go. So when you are shopping for new construction, they have what's called a registration policy. When you walk into a new construction site, that site agent represents the builder. They are going to tell you a lot of things about how really they're there to help your process go smoothly. But the thing to remember is that they represent the builder. Now, we don't want to have adversarial relationships with the people we're in real estate transactions with, but you need to remember that you need to have your representative. For any real estate, you really should have a real estate agent. You can find them through a variety of ways, obviously YouTube, social media, meet them at an open house, which is really the way I find that most people find their buyer representative. Obviously, there's lots of ways you can meet an agent. But it's super important that you know that that person is going to be your advocate, and it needs to be someone that you feel like you can trust. Yeah, the support they need from their office, from their managing broker, designated broker. Everything that I'm going to speak to is really based in Washington State real estate law. I am a managing broker here in Washington State, a York team. And yes, I provide their oversight. Listen, new construction is fantastic. One is, it's like a new car. No one else has driven it. Say that, listen, no one's showered in your shower, bathed in your tub, clipped their nails in your carpet. Gross. Kind of set it and forget it. And for first-time home buyers, it's really popular because it does kind of transition from what you have experienced as a tenant, where if something's wrong, you call somebody and they come and fix it. New construction, there's nothing wrong, right? I mean, there's a warranty period. We'll talk about that in one of our upcoming episodes. It's a new refrigerator. It's a new washer and dryer. It's a new furnace. It's a new 20, 30, 50-year roof. Landscaping is new. The garage door is new. The door opener is new. It's all modern. It's all the latest and greatest stuff. And so really you get to kind of move in from that expectation that you had as a tenant to now being a homeowner and not having to worry about, do I have to replace the hot water tank? Eventually you may, but in general, it's going to be down the road and something you don't have to worry about. And it's all the brand new stuff. the brand new hardwood floors, probably LVP, all fresh paint, all that fun stuff, and it's all yours. It's your new canvas for where you're going to build your new home. So what to expect when you're buying new construction? The thing is you have a couple different options when it comes to new construction. And here's a few examples of some projects that we have represented the builder on. Construction could be everything from pre-sale, where basically there's no home there yet. It could be just a home site, what a lot of people might refer to as a lot. It could be a home site with a foundation on it, or it could be a home that's in the construction process. So if you're buying a pre-sale home, again, depending on where it is in the process, it could be a 6-month wait, it could be an 8-month wait, it could be wait. You will still need to put your earnest money down. Now, earnest money is a deposit. That money comes back to you at closing, typically. Well, always as a deposit. And when we talk about deposits and fees, the thing to know is a deposit is intended to come back to you at closing, and a fee is a fee you pay for a service, typically. So generally speaking, real estate agents talk to you about deposits, and lenders and other services will generally talk to you about fees and deposits. So with an earnest money deposit, it's set by the builder, typically. They tell you that it's $50,000 or $5,000, or economies of scale. It could be back in the day. Keep in mind, I'm talking about 2008, where you could put only $500 down. It was a different time. In addition to that, if it's a pre-sale and let's say you want to do some upgrades, like you want to extend the hardwood floors upstairs, or you want to upgrade the appliance package or the landscaping package, or whatever it may be. Typically pay an additional deposit, which is not refundable, except for at closing, in order to add those embellishments to the property. It's all fine and well. Again, it's a deposit. It comes back to you at closing. Now, if you were to not close, typically you're not going to get that deposit money back. Now, builders have their own contract. So most real estate transactions in the Puget Sound area are done using the Northwest Multiple Listing Service forms. Brokers, the member brokers, pre-done contracts. We just kind of fill in the blanks, and that's how the real estate is transacted. Well, new construction is, again, very seller-centric, and they have their attorneys draft their own purchase and sale agreement. And that is vital. It is vital that your broker, and another reason why you should have your representation, is able to go through that contract with you and explain it to you to make sure you understand what the pitfalls are. For example, in a resale transaction, for the most part, the buyer's earnest money deposit is refundable for a period of time, almost all the way up to the end of closing, if not all the way up to the end of closing. Meaning something happens from the process when you make the purchase, you put your earnest money deposit down, and you close. For whatever reason you don't close, you lost your job, some life event happens, and you are unable to consummate on that contract to close. Lost my job, which means I no longer have financing available, which means I am unable to close on the contract, which then means I get my earnest money back. It's a bummer for the seller. It's a bummer for you, a bigger deal because you lost your job or whatever that life event was. But that deposit money comes back to you. Now, with a new construction contract, a builder contract, they're going to typically have some verbiage in there about how long that window is for when you could get your earnest money back if you were to cancel with cause. Builders, that's 2 weeks. So if you're in a 6-month process and you put $50,000 down and that life event happens at month 3, sorry, their builder's going to keep that deposit money. Now, keep in mind, every builder is different. Every builder's contract is different. That's one of the pitfalls that can be in a contract that a lot of people will miss. We're getting to the important part, which is how to protect you in today's environment against the builder registration policy that will affect you today if you are shopping for new construction. Site agent, the person who is at the model home when you show up there. They represent the builder always. They never represent you, the buyer. Small caveat: there are some what we call spot builders, people who builders who are doing infill, or maybe they took down one house and they're putting up four. A lot of times those representatives are not representing the builder. They're actually there to meet buyers, and they're doing open houses on the weekend. So I guess a really kind of easy way to know before you step in to the have established hours throughout the week. Um, like they've got the sign out front. We're open, Monday through Sunday, this hour to that hour. That person that's in that model home is likely the builder's representative. If there are not established hours out front, like maybe there's an open house sign, maybe you followed some realtor A boards, the little A boards that we all have, that's probably a buyer's agent. That's probably not someone who is representing the builder. So that person is trained by the builder on how they want their product represented, the things that are important to convey to you to help you to make the decision to purchase. And they're also trained in their contract. Obviously, if you don't sign the paperwork, you don't get to buy it. But it's important that you understand the gravity of verbiage in the contract before making that purchase. Now here we are, registration policy. In today's environment in Washington State, you as a buyer are expected to have a buyer brokerage services agreement signed with a buyer's broker. Now, if you're just starting the process and you haven't met that buyer's broker and you're just driving around looking at open houses, new construction sites, you probably haven't signed that buyer brokerage agreement. But if you have, which you need to, don't go it alone. Maybe we should go into a little bit about how buyers brokers are compensated, because that's a really big question that a lot of people don't understand or don't know. And we can go deeper into that topic if you check out this video, which talks about the buyer roadmap that we provide. So have a buyer brokerage agreement in place before you go shopping. I shouldn't say before you go shopping. Go see some properties with that agent and see if you actually do feel like they are going to be the right navigator for you, your advocate, and have that interview, have that conversation, and then make that decision that you want to work with that agent, with that realtor. So in that buyer brokerage agreement, there is a paragraph which talks about the buyer's broker's compensation. So, Ray, you're my agent. How are you being compensated? Well, at the end of the day, you as the buyer are responsible to make sure that I, as your representative, are compensated, much like an attorney-client relationship. But in real estate, the good news is, generally speaking, the seller still does offer buyer broker compensation. So what that means is the seller, John New Construction, says if the buyer has a broker, I will compensate them X percentage or X dollars. You and your buyer broker have an agreement which does state that you, the buyer, are going to assure or guarantee that your buyer broker is compensated Y percent or Y dollars. Sometimes that X and Y line up, and sometimes they don't. And in that buyer brokerage agreement, it does state how you're going to registration policy. Let's say that you and your buyer broker have an agreement that says that you are going to assure the buyer broker that they will be compensated 3%. And you're driving around and you see a new construction site and you're like, those look kind of cool, let's pop in there. Or even a condo site. So now you and your broker are looking at different homes and you're out driving around, you have this agreement in place, you're going to open houses, you get the free pass of, oh, I have an agent. Yes, I've signed the buyer brokerage agreement, and you get to go look at houses. You're out driving around, you see a new construction site or even a condo downtown where they have a sales office. And you go, let's check that out. I don't want to bother Ray right now. We're just out here driving around, kind of spontaneous, spur of the moment, let's pop into X condos or Y neighborhood. And you walk in and they say, hey, great to meet you. My name is John. And you give your name. And like, awesome. Listen, the builder asks that we have everybody who visits sign in. So if you wouldn't mind, please filling out this registration card. Tell me a little bit about you and your shopping process, and I'd love to show you around. Seems innocent enough. Of course, I'm going to do that. So yeah, here's my name, here's my number, email address, sure. And then there's typically going to be a box. Do you have a real estate agent? So let's say you do check that box, and you list Ray York as your broker. Awesome. So you probably think that now Ray is going to be compensated by the builder. Not necessarily. Builders, new construction, have a special rule that's designed for them in the Northwest Multiple Listing Service and in Washington State called a registration policy. You find this condo, you find this new construction home that you love, and you move forward with the purchase. You call me up and you go, Ray, super excited. We bought a blank builder property, and the site agent's going to send you a copy of the purchase and sale agreement. We're so excited, we can't wait. Great. First thing that goes off in my mind is, what's the registration policy? I go look up the registration policy, and it says buyer's broker must be present at first visit or at every visit. Buyer broker must have registered their client prior to client visiting the site, or buyer broker compensation is 0, or it's a very small percentage. Well, now that's a problem. We can solve every problem. Okay, but here's the nightmare scenario. You and your buyer broker have an agreement at 3%. You bought $1 million property. That's $30,000 for the buyer broker. Now, of course, that's not $30,000 going into the buyer broker's pocket. A split with their office, obviously taxes, money to pay for the car to drive around. I mean, all those things, right? Real estate agents are businesses. They're not just the professionals. It's not a side hustle. It's not a gig where like, hey, all of a sudden I got $30,000. You bought $1 million property, which means in that agreement you have with your buyer broker, you said they're going to make 3% of the transaction, and you're on the hook essentially for that $30,000. Well, the builder, because they have the registration policy, let's say they say you only get 1%. Well, okay, well, 1% of $1 million is $10,000. Well, who's on the hook for the 20, right? For the gap. Now, that's kind of scary, and I'm even hesitant to even go down that path, but it's something you need to understand if you are an active home buyer in this market, in these new rules that we have. I will tell you again, I'll say it again. You and your buyer broker likely can work out any situation, but you do have to remember that it's kind of like hiring an attorney. They represent you, whether if they're next to you in the process, or if you're out doing things on your own. Make sure that you have a lot of confidence in that broker that you hire. Are they going to help navigate these can be tricky waters? You achieve the goal. You never want to get stuck out in the cold and end up with a bill that you weren't expecting. Choose wisely. Understand your broker's credentials, and have a good time in the home shopping process. When you have the right person by your side, the right team by your side, it is an enjoyable process. It can be very, very risky if you're not getting good advice or not following the advice. Always have great communication. I'll tell you, if you find that your broker is not quick to respond to a text, doesn't answer their phone, doesn't respond to emails, you might want to try a different broker. You need someone who is actively engaged in your process all through the process. Okay, we're going to do more on the topic of new construction. And I really do want to know what you want to know. So please, in the comments, let me know what topics you want covered. I have an outline already lined up. I have literally sold thousands of new construction homes. I actually was the person who negotiated for the seller all across the Puget Sound. And I learned a lot in that process, negotiating 2 to 5 contracts a day across the Puget Sound. Where you are, Tacoma versus Bothell, for example, is a different process. And I want to be able to leverage that for you, for my team members and you. It is an exciting time buying a new construction home. It is an exciting time buying any home. And I love being able to leverage my experience and history and transactions with you, our potential clients. So as always, you can reach us at the link in the description, fill out the form. You can even use this QR code, and let's connect, let's talk. Listen, talking is free, always is. I like to do it. And maybe you don't, maybe you want some one-on-one questions answered. That's fantastic. Again, just reach out. Love to connect with you. We work a lot. We work full-time, and we are always focused on answering your questions and delivering the highest and best possible service for you. Of how satisfied our clients are is that we do get to do multiple transactions for them, and that's a pretty good endorsement. All right, well, look forward to going down this journey with you. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative. And if you have more questions, again, on any of the topics we talked about today, reach out, let me know. You can do it privately, you can put it in the comments, and I look forward to connecting.